For 2023, Toyota is making a huge improvement to the Corolla by giving it a standard 8-inch infotainment screen with its newest operating system. Let's take a look at how it works. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. Today we've got the infotainment breakdown on the 2023 Toyota Corolla. This video we're going to show you how to pair a phone, use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, take a look at this new system, test out some of the voice controls, and even show you how to set the clock. But before all that, let's hop out and take a look at the car. Actually, some subtle facelifted outside elements of the Corolla for 2023 as well, although you'd be hard-pressed to see them unless maybe you owned a Corolla, could really be familiar with the way it looks, but I still think it's a pretty sharp looking car. I do really like this color. I could probably take or leave the two-tone paint, but either way, if you want to see a whole bunch more on the Corolla, check the link in the description. We've got reviews of other Corolla models as well as a lot of videos on this one. They'll all be listed in the link below. Before we dive into the center infotainment screen, let's take a look at this 7-inch gauge cluster screen here. This one is optional. I think it's something like a 4-inch more basic screen you get in the lower trims, but in this XSC you're getting 7 inches of digital goodness here. Now I've always found that these Toyota gauge clusters are a little overwhelming, but at least you got fuel on the right, engine temperature on the left, big old analog style tachometer in the middle, and then digital speed smack dab inside of that. Using this left button here, this kind of toggle area, you can cycle through average fuel economy, information for your cruise control, a compass right there as well, what song you've got playing in the media, little trip information, how far you've traveled and how long you've been traveling, information for the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 safety system, so lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring, pedestrian control, maybe that one, PCS, detection, and rear cross traffic alert. I'm kind of quizzing myself here on all these acronyms. So you can toggle those on and off. Continuing down, if you had any error messages with your car, that's how you'd find them. And then I bet if we went down here to this gear icon and held OK, we'd see even more settings, being able to adjust kind of when and how you get alerted for a lot of the safety systems. Oh, here we go. And then there's your meter settings. Let's open those. Languages for these meters: English, Spanish, and French. What units you want displaying up there. Here's meter styles. Okay, so we've got, this is smart, casual. Okay, so that looks a little more conventional. I actually kind of like the look of that with sporty. Ooh, sporty looking all, well, quite frankly, sporty right there. Dial type. Ooh, so you could actually switch and make the dial be your speedometer, and then you've also got speed in the middle. Huh. That's kind of fun. So it's just a good example of why you need to spend time in your car after you purchase it to sort of figure out exactly how it works and what it's capable of doing. Because I've spent a lot of time in Toyotas and I still didn't know you could do that. Oh, and you can turn the whole thing off, which, to be honest, most Corolla owners probably don't even need the tachometer up because this is a CVT and you don't really need to keep an eye on what your tach is anyway, but we'll leave it on. This is a little eco indicator, so if you're driving economically, it's going to pop up and show you that you are doing so. I would have that off. What is this going to do? All right, show you fuel economy. You can adjust whether it's your total average fuel economy, tank average, or trip average. Pop-up display. Oh, okay, so if you leave your phone in the car, or you adjust the volume, or have voice controls or whatever, if you want it to pop up and tell you things, you can turn that on and off. Drive info. Okay, a little customization for that there too. Mid, what is MID? Oh, you can actually turn that whole screen on and off. All right, so like I said, a lot of customization right there. Good to play around with. And then you always have on the right side, up in the top right, you've got a clock. Top left, the ambient temperature. Lower left, any engine information. Right now it's got a check engine light because the motor isn't running. Distance to empty on fuel in the bottom right, and a little persistent kilometers per hour display as well. Making our way over to this center screen. I like the placement despite not being necessarily visually attractive. It's in nice proximity to the driver. I can sit all the way back against my seat and still reach up and touch the screen. Oh, and the car has shut itself off since we've been sitting here for a while, draining the battery. Interestingly, this screen doesn't seem to attract a lot of fingerprints. Something to do with the film that they use over it. It's not like the Colorado screen we had recently that was all fingerprinted up. Starting in the top right, you got a little bit of an information screen that's going to show you your cell phone signal if it's connected. If we tap on the clock up here, we get the ability to set the clock. It's got an automatic daylight savings time and time zone right now, and actually the whole clock is set automatically by GPS if you just have that enabled, but if you turn that off, you can actually set a manual clock if you were to want to do that. Going back, there's no explicit back button in the system. You can typically just tap up here on the top to get back to the screen you were in previously. This left section of the screen is kind of your main toggles for where you're going to want to get around the system. Top left is your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto if that's connected. We're going to skip that for now. Moving below that, you have your navigation. This car is equipped with navigation. I think the base model trims do without that, though. You can see a nice navigation display here, a nice map. It's loosely based off of Google Maps, but it is Toyota's own version in here. And you can see it is taking a little while to load up right now. I'm not quite sure why. But it does work well. And it integrates nicely with the voice controls that we'll experiment with here shortly. But again, a bit curious why it's not loading itself up. The car should have its own data connection. Moving below that, you have the media screen. If you want to see more of a breakdown of these, you can check the link below for our sound system test. But big sources button down here that's going to allow you to get to your various media sources. And let's check out, see what the radio screen looks like. It's going to show your favorites here on the right. And those are mixed in between FM favorites, AM favorites, and Sirius XM. So I could go straight from listening to some BPM, Sirius XM, and then go straight over to something here on FM radio. And that's how you get to your various sources there. You could direct tune as well. Type something in. Get our NPR going. Ooh, not coming in very clear. Moving below that, you have the phone screen, but if you're connected via Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it's not going to give you anything. Some devices, or rather some cars, still allow you to dial in numbers and see your contacts there, but the Toyota system does not. Moving below that, we have trip information in the vehicle screen. It's going to show you your average speed, range, and duration, as well as fuel economy over the last 15 minutes. And then on the history screen, it's going to show you kind of daily best fuel economy averages as the car's been driven around, and your previous best MPG. Going back, we have vehicle alerts. If I had anything like low tire pressure or oil change that needed to happen, it would pop up here and show me. Might look a little better while the vehicle's running also. Below that, you have your settings screen. This profile screen is pretty darn cool because Toyota and Lexus are integrating these profiles into all of their new vehicles, meaning if I own something like a Corolla and a Grand Highlander, and I shared that vehicle with Alyssa, both of those vehicles per se, we could have that paired up to our keys and then get in, and if it recognizes me, it's going to set my radio and climate, and for some vehicles, seating preferences to my setup. But then if she gets in with her key and puts in her information and everything, then it's going to set the vehicle up for her. It's nice that Toyota is moving forward in that direction with those customizable profiles. Below that, you have information for your personal info. Things like right here, link up the key so that it loads your profile based on the key. You can reset settings and delete driver right from there as well. Bluetooth and devices. I'm going to fire up my spare phone here so when the time comes we can show you how to pair up a device. General, this shows you the ability to turn on the screen beep so that tapping it gets you a satisfying little beep sound there. Also how sensitive the screen is. I like to have it nice and sensitive, especially if you're ever going to have gloves on or anything. I like to be able to just come over to a nice simple tap, but maybe if you're someone who taps a little slower, you might want the screen sensitivity down a bit. There's your date and time, which we saw earlier. Keyboard settings, apparently nothing for that. Let's turn our beep off. Language and units, that's going to allow you to change between English, Spanish, and French. And your measurements, things like miles, kilometers, things like that, are set automatically based on where the vehicle is located. That's pretty cool. Going down into notifications, it'll show you notifications for any software updates you had, virtual assistant, turn on or off whether you want to get navigation prompts when you're on the phone, and which navigation prompts you'd like to get. Wi-Fi settings, this would allow you to not only have a vehicle hotspot, so you can broadcast to devices in the car for them to access the internet if you're paying for that, but you can also connect the vehicle to a different Wi-Fi connection in order to get things like software updates. If you were parked at home, you might want to have that on and connected to your home's Wi-Fi. Display settings, this is how you'd turn the display on and off. You can see if I simply click that, the whole screen goes entirely black, which is nice to have if you're driving at night, don't need to see your center screen blasting you. Simply tap that to wake it back up. And then a brightness mode. If you turn automatic off, you can see what nighttime would look like. Some people would want to have that on all the time, even in the day. Might be a little easier on your eyes. But I have it on automatic so that when it goes dark outside, it switches over to that dark setting. Below that, brightness control. So if you want it a little easier on your eyes, you can adjust that. And same thing with contrast, although I find right in the middle is the best setting for that. Camera settings, when you have your camera on for the backup camera, then you can adjust individual brightness and contrast there as well. Maybe you don't want that quite as bright in case it pops up at nighttime. Below display, you got sound and media. An automatic sound levelizer, so that's going to lift up elements of the music as you're driving. Compensate for wind noise, road noise, and engine noise. The loudness of your phone's ringtone, new message sounds, and received volume. I don't know what received volume would be. And then the system voice as well, as turn that up a little bit, and the driving assistance voice. So it's nice to be able to have that customization there. Treble, mid-range, and bass adjustments for the EQ, as well as a balance and fader adjustment. And if you want cover art to show up while you're listening to music on the media screen. We also have individual settings for FM, having HD radio on. You can have HD radio for AM, that's nice. Enhanced hybrid radio automatically switches to streaming radio when signal is weak. This will affect your cellular data usage. Interesting. Some Sirius XM satellite radio settings as well. You can block explicit channels. Notifications for sports if you want to be notified when certain teams are playing. And you can also add saved songs as well and get notified when those are playing. I remember when that was a big deal back when before streaming was very popular. You could set yourself to be notified of songs playing on the radio. Man, how times change quickly. Navigation settings. You can show information for your speed limits, traffic incidents, free-flowing traffic, home, work, favorites, and nearby parking, all as points of interest on the map. You can calibrate your map as well. And different route options if you want it to avoid tolls or highways, ferries, kind of similar to what you see in Google Maps. Avoid seasonal roads. That's probably a good thing to have, and border crossings. We're not gonna be going over to Mexico with this one. Voice and search. Now this is where we're going to see the wake word, so you can actually trigger the voice assistant without pressing any buttons. We'll see that here in a little while. And then if you're used to how the system works, you can disable the voice prompt and have it respond quicker without responding back to you. Again, we'll see that here in a moment. Vehicle customization. For lights, you can have the sensitivity of the automatic lights adjusted. So normal, bright, brighter, normal, dark, or darker. So how dark you want it to be outside before your automatic headlights turn on. Auto off timer, so how long they stay on after you get out of the car. And then your daytime running lamps, we're going to leave those on. Same thing with the interior lights. Right now they're set to stay on for 15 seconds after you shut the car off and get out, but you can adjust that there. Door control. So if you want the doors to auto lock or unlock when you put the car in drive or park, you can adjust that there. And then some adjustments for the wireless key as you walk up. Smart access doors. So I actually want all doors to unlock when you tap the handle outside. And some more adjustments for your key. You can even adjust how loud the beep is when you lock it. That's kind of cool. Adaptive cruise control customized. What is this? It just has an on and off. Well, we'll turn that back on. See if I notice any differences. Dealer information. So this is going to be a contact for your dealer that you purchased the vehicle from. Information, the name of your car. You can set that to probably whatever you want, to be honest. Yep, up to 64 characters. Reset the system from there. If you have any software updates, you're going to have that there. And then applications. You can have the apps reinstalled if you're getting something funky, or set things up via remote connect here from that screen. All right, there's a pretty comprehensive look at the settings. One thing I should point out is when you're in any of those screens, you've got a little search thing that can come up right there and launches your voice control. But let's play around with the voice control a little bit. So like I said, we do have a wake word. It is hey, and then the name of the manufacturer. So let's start off right here, testing the navigation. Hey Toyota, navigate to the nearest Starbucks. And already not working. Hey Toyota, navigate to the nearest Starbucks.
The closest Starbucks is Starbucks at 2790 Lake Forest Drive. Would you like to go now?
Yes.
Calculating route to Starbucks.
Now, like I said, if you don't want to wait for those voice control prompts to come back at you, if you find them cumbersome, go down to voice and search, turn off the voice prompt, and then you can see, hey Toyota. Hey Toyota. Cancel my navigation.
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you.
This usually works pretty well. Hey Toyota. Man. Hey Toyota. Cancel navigation. Cancel navigation. Alright, it worked that time. You can also do things like, hey Toyota. I really don't know why. I think what it's probably set up to do is if it hears you having a different conversation, it's not going to recognize the wake word. So I think you have to stop for a moment and then say it. Hey Toyota, what's the weather like? I guess it just doesn't tell you when the voice prompt is off. You can also wake it up with this button. What's the weather like? It is sunny and it popped up so quick and then went away. All right, so if you actually want to hear useful things, I guess. Oh, just took a sec, but now we've got weather coming up right there in front. So that's actually pretty useful. Huh. So a little bit of delay in there. Something to get patient with and get used to. Let's try one more. Hey Toyota. What was the score of the Lions game this weekend? Alright, so that one's just not going to work. I better turn voice and search this voice prompt back on. Now let's see if it works. What was the score of the Lions game this weekend?
Sorry, I don't have any result for Lions on August 19th.
Okay, so it recognizes what I was asking, but apparently doesn't have the information. I wonder if we're not connected to the internet for some reason. Alright, let's show pairing up a phone. We're going to go over here to Bluetooth and devices. Right now, one of my smartphones is connected, but we're going to show connecting to this new one. So I'm going to bring my device into the Bluetooth settings. Now that I've got that up, I'm going to hit add another device in the center screen. All other devices must be disconnected. Yep, that's fine. Search. There it is, OnePlus Nord. Get a prompt on my device. Pair. And OK. Not going to replace the primary device. And there it is. The phone's connected to the car now. I could listen to Bluetooth or make phone calls or text messages through there. Same process would apply for an iPhone. But let's take a look at Android Auto. I have my device wirelessly connected. We're going to go up here to the top left. And there you can see it takes up the entire screen. So if you do want to get back, you're going to have to click into your app screen and then hit Toyota. And it goes right back to the main Toyota display. But here's how Android Auto is going to look. Here's your home screen. You got your navigation there in the center, information on either nav or music or text messages or anything you get up in the top right, and then your music or media playing in the bottom right. Let's go into YouTube Music, hit my super mix, and see what Corolla is playing. Some Juicy J with Nicki Minaj. Bring up Google Maps fully. You can see I can move around, pinch and zoom, and then recenter myself pretty easily there. And then let's take a look at the dialer. There we go. All right, how about Apple CarPlay? Same thing, we're going to have to go back to the home screen, and there it is, iPhone coming up. Right there, it asks me to enable CarPlay. I'm going to choose yes. And there we go, CarPlay taking up the whole screen as well. It's a pretty large resolution for CarPlay. Doesn't look super crispy, but you got what you need. Refresh rate isn't the highest either. But let's take a look at that home screen, your Google Maps, your nav info, and your music. Let's go into Google Maps here. You can see you can move around, but you cannot pinch to zoom in Apple Google Maps. You've got to tap here and then use the plus and minus icons. Take a look at YouTube Music. Oh, I've actually got the connection off on my phone right now, so that's what it's going to look like, but we can do downloads. Let's just shuffle the downloads real quick. Some delaying. That's how it's going to look there if you're now playing, and that's how it looks when it's playing on the home screen. And take a quick look at the dialer as well. All right, so there it is, the totally updated system here in the Toyota Corolla. I think it's awesome that Toyota is putting this system in all of the Corollas, just going across the board. Good infotainment. I think it's a really smart move on their part. And I think a lot of people are going to appreciate it, even if you're not getting something like this top upper trim XSE model. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on this Corolla, check the link in the description. We've got all our other videos there. And also let me know if you got any questions that I can answer about the screen here and how it works. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.